Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at quantum computing. It is time for another update, and we've recently had some very interesting developments where we have seen the follow through to lower prices as we would have liked in a bullish scenario, if you may believe that, although unfortunately it's not within the interpretation we would have desired to follow through to lower prices. But there is still an opportunity for some of us here, and we'll be discussing about that in a moment. But before, let's provide the context of what we are tracking on this chart. So, unfortunately, we only have an initial three-wave move to the upside, which isn't really giving us any strong indication of a larger uptrend to be in formation, and even if one is, it would have to be within a leading diagonal, which is not going to provide an overall clear and easy to trade structure. But here we have basically a couple of options. We would have either, as I was saying, a leading diagonal in a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or something more along the lines of a corrective structure in what could be, let's say, an A, B, C pattern where a more substantial top could form here within a 5-wave move to the upside. Now, that is not an initial 5-wave pattern, which is not the same as if we were to build here an initial 5-wave pattern, so keep that in mind. But that is not actually where the interesting part and the high probability structure and the opportunity lies for us, but rather within the smaller time frame in this area, where we have identified an impulse that could very easily form in this movement. So we had here a wave 1 up, a wave 2 down, and a wave 3 to the upside. Not the only possible interpretation, but one of them, right? And within this expectation, we don't even care if this is an impulse, if it isn't. We have identified within a smaller time frame, within a supposed wave 4 support area, an initial 5-wave move to the upside, which is suggesting with high probabilities that after a 3-wave correction into a support zone, we would be looking with high probabilities for at least another 5-wave move to the upside in trend continuation. So far, we are still within the support area. We are deep within the support area, in fact, and we are looking at quite attractive risk-reward ratios, as if this is to follow through its expectations, we would be looking at a quite sizable move to the upside to occur without breaking the $6.4 level, where we know that a break below this last level of support would strongly indicate a failure overall of this structure, of this pattern. But once again, the probabilities are in our favor since we have identified an initial 5-wave pattern. So all of this combined actually provides an interesting opportunity where the only aspect that makes it a bit worrying is the internal structure, yeah? It's within a smaller time frame, it's the wave 2 correction, which doesn't command the same respect as the larger wave 1 to the upside we have formed, but it is certainly something to consider. So, in the orange interpretation, in this movement to the downside, we have identified a potential leading diagonal, as so far we only have a 3-wave pattern within this wave 5, which is exactly the same wave count we have within every single wave in this structure. And this is a warning sign that this could be building, and I repeat myself here, an initial 5-wave pattern, which suggests that after a 3-wave correction, we should expect at least another 5-wave pattern in trend continuation. And this remains a highly relevant interpretation as long as we have a 3-wave pattern within this latest move to the downside, where we did actually provide an alternative in the yellow scenario. As I was saying, within the bullish expectation, we would have liked to see another low, because within the yellow interpretation, we would have needed to actually build a 5-wave move within this last push to the downside, which wouldn't have allowed the orange interpretation to actually exist. Yeah, if we followed through building here a wave 4 and a wave 5, we wouldn't have been able to look for this orange interpretation to have an initial 5-wave move to the downside within a leading diagonal, as within the leading diagonal, we were expecting only a 3-wave pattern within a wave 5. Now, unfortunately, this isn't the case. We have extended to lower prices, but we haven't formed a satisfactory correction in a wave 4 to be able to reliably track this movement to the downside as the wave 5 in yellow, where once again, to be clear, in the yellow structure, we are looking at an A, B, C pattern in this area where we know the wave C must be a 5-wave structure. Now, since this is the case, we do need to actually favor the orange interpretation still, and the structure that has now developed favors the orange interpretation even more, as currently I am able to identify a 5-wave move to the downside within this push, and within the yellow structure, within the yellow wave C, we have been preferring the idea of an ending diagonal, which is why I would have liked to only see a 3-wave pattern within a wave 3 as opposed to a 5-wave pattern. Now, don't get me wrong, I will still be tracking this idea of a yellow wave 3 to possibly have a bottom in place or to form a bottom here in the very near term. There are ways we could still track this as a 3-wave movement to the downside, but it is a less likely structure in my opinion compared to having an A, B, C pattern, which is what we are tracking in the orange wave 5. Now, regardless of the count, as long as we are still holding here $6.4, there is still a strong potential to form the next wave to the upside, even in a wave 3, even in the white scenario. Yeah, as always, we focus on the levels, not the count, and we will need to update the resistance area levels as well. But I also wanted to mention that within both interpretations, we would be looking for a stronger push to the upside to occur in the near term. And this is not a prediction, it's rather about the probabilities of this structure, which also happen to line up quite well with the overall expectations of other quantum computing stocks, where yes, we are looking to be towards the end of the corrections, towards the lower portions of their support areas, and yes, some of them look and seem to be forming bottoms in the near term. Some of them might have already formed some bottoms, but yes, within many of them we are looking for a stronger recovery, not necessarily new all-time highs. Even this chart, even if it builds here a wave C in yellow, it could still fail, it could still get stuck by an orange area of resistance or something similar to extend to lower prices. It's just about the probabilities we are discussing and focusing on this channel, not the predictions of what will happen. And for me, ideally we build here the yellow interpretation. We have a 3-wave move to the downside clearly defined, because even within the orange interpretation it can be tracked as a WXY structure. But once again, since we are talking about probabilities, there is a strong risk that the orange interpretation is currently in charge, and even if it is to form the stronger relief rally, which by the way currently has an updated area of resistance that starts at $11.7 and goes all the way up to the $19.6 level, would still provide substantial returns potentially, and we have a very clear level of probability shift here at the 78.6% retracement in white, where we know that a sustained break below this last level of support vastly decreases the likelihood of the white scenario to play out. Now, before we get into the even smaller time frame, I will also highlight that very much on this line at the 78.6% retracement at $6.4, we have quite substantial structural support as well, and even below that we have some. And I will highlight that a wick below this last level of support is not sufficient to invalidate the probabilities of this structure. And yes, I do require a sustained break to provide a clear indication that the overall pattern, the overall structure has failed. Now, as I was saying, we would still be looking for this wave 4 in yellow to still possibly form and allow us to extend to lower prices, but it now has an updated area of resistance. And of course, both of these resistance areas would have to come along with extensions to lower prices within this movement to the downside. So if within this wave 3 we push down to $7, yes, these Fibonacci retracements would need to come along with it to $7, But for now, this is where we are at. These are the levels we are watching. So $8.3 for the first level of resistance in this wave 4, but we would expect similar proportions with what we had in this wave 2. So be wary of that. Otherwise, I would have to likely consider an extension of this wave 3 once more, because I could have considered this to be a wave 4, but the proportions don't line up. They fit much better within an internal push to the downside. And what I could have done, technically, to allow this to actually follow through within the yellow interpretation would have been here to track an A, B, C structure within a running flat. Yeah, in that case, it would have been acceptable to consider a wave 4 in place, but it's not necessarily the most probable scenario for me, which is why we are still focusing on the orange interpretation to be in charge currently. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoy our content and want to support us directly, check out our channel membership. And as a thank you for any of these actions, I want to invite you to sign up to our channel newsletter, where you get access to our monthly top picks, where we identify for you high quality structures. The link for sign up is in the description, and it is completely free. And other than that, let me know what else you would like me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.